Okay, so it's time for my review of the season 2 finale of Scandal. And it was just crazy, you guys. Crazy, 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 crazy. And I'm annoyed. I'm really kind of annoyed. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it. Now, there were some things that happened in this episode that surprised me, and some that didn't surprise me all that much. First of all, let's just go ahead and talk about the cliffhanger. We finally get the name of this mysterious, shadowy figure, this character that Joe Morton has been playing. We finally get that his name is Rowan. Cyrus finally calls him that in this episode. That is the first time someone's called him by name. And sure enough, there's a reason for the fact that nobody has called him by name, because by the end of the episode, we realize that he is Olivia Pope's father. Now, that's a theory that's been floating around for a little while, but I was still just kind of like, her father? Really? Oh my gosh, just craziness. Also, by the end of the episode, we get that somebody has leaked the fact that Olivia Pope is the president's mistress. Now, I don't know that it was necessarily her dad that did that, but he was there, like at the very end of the episode when she comes out of her apartment building and the press is all there kind of going crazy, and she realizes, oh my gosh, what's going on? He pulls her into the limousine, and that's when she's like, Dad? Whatever. One thing I want to say about the very end of the episode that I thought was hilarious. Did you guys catch this? When Olivia comes down the elevator and she's got her music in, and she's stretching, she's about to go jogging, doing the stretchy thing. And all of a sudden, everybody in the lobby is kind of looking at her. And I didn't catch it the first time. But when I went back to watch it again is when I caught it. And it was like, oh, they're all looking at her because they've heard this news as well, that she's been outed as President Grant's mistress. So she's walking through the lobby and you see people kind of stopping and look at her and then whisper, right? But at the very last minute before she gets to the door, there's this black man sitting in the corner. He's like reading something. And he just looks up at her and he smiles with this face that's just like, you get it, girl. I mean, it was just like, I thought it was really, really funny. So I don't even know, you guys, I don't even know where to begin with this episode. It's just kind of like, ugh. There were so many good, but also just kind of crappy things that happened. Let's talk about Olitz for a second, right? Because I knew, part of me knew after the last couple of weeks of happy time that was going to be over and done with and dead. And sure enough, that happened in this episode. And while I got the reasons behind that, I was kind of annoyed by that. So I'm hoping that in the next season, I get the whole push and pull, and he's president, and he's married and all this stuff, but it's like, we gotta figure something out. We have got to make some adult decisions about this relationship and just stop sabotaging it. To me, it's just driving me a bit crazy. So at the beginning of the episode, they're all happy, but Olivia's still kind of like, oh my gosh, Fitz is gonna run for president. That must mean I'm gonna have to wait 4 more years. And there's the scene where, she tells him I will wait, it's gonna be tough. And he's like, what are you talking about? We are getting married. You're gonna be my first lady. And she even then comes up with the plan, he tells her, you fix that. And she's like, well, you said you didn't want me to fix you. And he's like, well, don't fix me. I don't need fixing. I already know that I love you. It's the American people that need fixing. The public needs to fall in love with you. You figure out a way for that to happen. And so she even comes up with a plan of how they could be together eventually, and you get that she's really clinging to that hope. And then, of course, the gist of the episode is them kind of working together. So we kind of get to see that core unit again of Fitz and Cyrus and Olivia as they work together to try to kind of deal with the Billy Chambers issue before it kind of gets out. So it was cool to kind of see that again, to see them work together. But by the end, it's like all the secrets come out. Cyrus, and I don't care what his motives are, you guys, he really kind of pissed me off in this episode. He really, really did. So he basically just decides to really throw a wrench into it. So he tells Olivia, hey, Fitz killed Verna. There you go. Boom. And then he goes to Fitz and is like, oh, you got a minute? Let me pop this DVD in here. Watch this. And then he shows him the sex tape. And I get that he was getting this pressure from Rowan, you need to do this, right? Even at the point when he was in the hospital, right? Because obviously one of the big things that happens in this episode is Cyrus has a heart attack, which we all saw that coming, from a mile away. And while he's in the hospital, he has this brief moment where he feels like he sees Rowan come to visit him and again put the pressure on. And so he really feels like his friends are in danger to some degree, and I think that's why he really kind of did what he did. But I don't care. I do not care. I'm so tired of Cyrus and this bull that he does, right? Because the other thing is he kept dropping these little quips about like, I'm the only one that's going to be an adult in the room or something like that. And it was like, really, Cyrus? Really? You're the adult in the room? If you're the adult, we got a problem. We have got a problem. So then, yeah, at the very end of the episode, you have this scene between the two of them after they've both kind of learned each other's secret. And instantly you just get that the dream is dead. You know, like you get that you were excited for a little bit that it might actually happen. And then, ooh, you were happy? Wait a minute. You think good things are gonna happen? Nope, I don't think so. Nope, you're gonna get ready for your heart to get stomped on. Because once again, something else takes priority. And like I said, you know, I kind of get it. I get where Olivia was coming from. So we get Olivia, like, telling Fitz, like, basically, we went too far. The things that we did were too much. She admits that she even took her own people, like at OPA. She took them too far, over the wrong cliff, she says, which I thought was really interesting. And she tells him, like, look, I'm their gladiator. I cannot leave them. And I totally get that. I loved it as well when she told him, like, you have to forget about the past. You need to let go of your father. You need to let go of Verna. This is a fresh start. Like, you can run and you can win with Melly at your side. Like, that's what you need to do. But again, you just get that he doesn't want to do that. He wants to do it with her. But it's just not gonna happen. I mean, like, by the end of the episode, we see him going over to see Melly and laying his head in her lap. Whatever. What freaking ever. Now, I'm annoyed as an Olitz fan, but at the same time, it's like, how long are we going to do this? How long are we going to play this game? This kind of back and forth. Like, eventually, somebody's going to have to do something drastic, or something's going to have to happen. I'm going to need there to be some sort of real Olitz relationship, because, I mean, is next season just going to be more of the dance between the two of them? Because I don't know. I mean, I just feel like that's gonna get old if they keep doing that. And I just don't know that I could take much more of it. Let's talk about David in this episode, because let's talk about some redemption. First of all, did we all note that the very first episode of this season was called, like, White Hats Off or something like that? And this episode, the finale, was called White Hats Back On. So you get the symbolism of, like, yeah, we took the white hats off for a bit, we did some things that were probably not so great, but now we're headed into the right direction. And David's part of this episode was the part that really surprised me, because I think last week when we realized that he was the one that was working with Billy Chambers, we all assumed that he was just going dark side, when really he wasn't. Because the reason I really liked David's character, like especially in season 1, was I just loved that whole kind of interplay between him and Olivia, and you get that David is the ultimate white hat, and so I was glad to kind of see him back in that role. So David stole the Citron card from Olivia, and he also made kind of like a fake copy of it, and he was using that to kind of lure in Billy Chambers. And David wore a wire in one of his meetings with Billy Chambers where Billy confesses to him that he killed Osborne, he killed Wendy, and he killed Molly. And then David does the ultimate, like, political play in the end. Like, he doesn't use the Citron card to kind of say, look, I was right all along, I want my old job back. He takes the card to Cyrus and says, here's the card, but I want something in return. And so the next thing you know, there's a press conference, and Fitz is claiming, you know, David's a hero, he found the mole, and then he's naming David the new U.S. Attorney of D.C. So in the end, it completely works out for David. I loved the part, you guys, it was so cool, where you see David kind of send Olivia this box, and in the box is a white hat, which I thought was just awesome, and like so symbolic, obviously, between the two of them. And he sends her the tape of this conversation between him and Billy, and the fact that, you know, David tells Billy he doesn't want to betray his friends. And you get that he really does believe that the people at OPA are his friends, and I think, you know, he's been there with them, he's worked around them, he sees what kind of people they are, and I do believe that he thinks they're good. So I thought that was really cool. A couple of other things that I really loved. I loved that Governor Rustin was involved in the whole Billy Chambers and all that business, and the point when he tried to come to Fitz and kind of blackmail him and tell him, like, you're gonna put me on your ticket or I'm gonna release the information. I just loved that bit, especially because he was one of my top suspects for being the mole. So the fact that he was working with the mole, you know, kind of makes me right maybe a little bit. Now let's talk about freaking Quinn, you guys, because just over the wrong cliff. I mean, she is the poster child for that. In this episode, we just get that Huck is afraid, you know, that he's been teaching her the spy stuff, but she has taken it to the limit. And she really has become his mini-me. And he's scared for her. He's scared of where she's going to, and he doesn't want her to go there. It's so interesting to me as well, like how Huck is basically the epitome of the result of his lifestyle. You know, like even physically, he's still sitting in the corner rocking back and forth. And yet she doesn't see that. She doesn't see that that's the path that she's headed down if she keeps going. At one point, when they find out where Billy Chambers is, you know, Huck goes to basically like torture him to get him to tell them where the Cytron card is at. And he kind of loses it. Like, he gets to a point where he can't do it and he's starting to shake. And Quinn takes the drill from him and goes at it. I mean, the next thing you know, she's got blood all on her face and she's like, tell me where the card is at. And she's like hardcore and way into it. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how they pull her back. Quinn is definitely the epitome of what Olivia's talking about. You know, when she tells Fitz, like, I've taken my people too far and they need me. I mean, Quinn is the example of that. I guess one of my big questions is still, why did somebody try to kill Olivia? You know, like, we saw the lady from B613 show up at Olivia's house and try to kill her, but Jake was there and he kind of saved her, so that was cool. But, like, what was the point of that? I mean, I get that we know now that Rowan, the head of B613, is Olivia's father, but why would he try to kill her? And what's the big deal about her not being with Fitz? I mean, is that just him as a father saying they can't be together because I won't have it? It just seems like a lot. And are we using government funds to deal with family issues, really? That just doesn't seem right. Now, Jake in this episode too, you guys, I mean, he didn't die, because I really didn't think he was going to make it through the season, but he does end up in the hole. So that basically puts him away until they decide they want to kind of bring him back, and I'm sure they will do that at some point. I felt really bad for him in this episode because I think we get that Jake really is a good guy. I mean, like, he really is trying to do the right thing. We get that he wasn't the one who killed Osborne. And even though he tells Olivia at one point, like, I slept with you because those were my orders, I didn't really believe that was true. I believed he was saying that to try to push her away. And so it turns out that he's not a horrible guy, and I felt bad when they put him in the hole because look what the hole did to Huck. You guys, it was a great finale. I mean, I was definitely annoyed by things, as I said earlier. But it was a great cap-off to a season 2. I mean, this season was just fantastic. I mean, just like so many twists and turns and just full of great things, you guys. And obviously is the reason why we all love Scandal. I'm so excited about season 3 and where they're going, and I'm sure they will shock me many, many more times. And even though I'm annoyed by the Elitz thing, it's like any kind of show that can elicit that kind of emotion. I mean, like, that is amazing storytelling, you know, when a show does that. So I love it. Thank you, Shonda Rhimes and ABC Scandal writers. You guys are awesome. And you have just basically rocked my world. Okay, guys, don't forget about Scandal Chat. It's happening on Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is the last Scandal Chat of the season, and we're going to be talking in detail about this episode. It has been a pleasure, you guys, to talk Scandal with you this season. Can't wait for the next season, and we're going to have to do something this summer. Like, we're going to have some sort of, like, Scandal camp or something, because I'm not going to make it, people. I'm not gonna make it. You guys, thank you so much for watching Scandal Reviews, for all of your comments and theories and the conversations that happen in the comment section. I absolutely love it. It reminds me that I'm not the only one that's lightweight obsessed with this show. I am not alone, and you guys remind me of that week after week. And yeah, I appreciate you guys so very much. Thanks again for watching with me this season. I will see you guys again soon. Bye. I just realized that Edison wasn't the mole, and how disappointed I am about that. Ugh, Edison.